All right, welcome back. It is issue 2 of Team Lift. We are 2 episodes deep into this podcast now. For those who didn't think we would even get past episode 1, we are back again. Great is myself, Roderick McDaniel, and the man with the plan himself, Mr. Brandon Bowie. What's up, Brandon?
Hello, everybody.
All right, great. Man, now, first show, we were in Geek Heaven.
Yeah.
Kind of covered a lot of topics.
All the comic book things, comic book movies.
We got real deep into comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Because we kind of discussed the Captain America Hydra issue, the DC Universe Rebirth. We trashed Zack Snyder as a director.
As a human being.
Yeah, we got into
a terrible person.
Something. We got into something. We're going to get into it. We got to get this in.
Okay.
We touched on Judd Apatow and his whole, if you don't like the new Ghostbusters film, you're a Trump supporter.
Ugh.
We touched on it and we left it alone.
Yeah.
We never really got into our whole...
We kind of spun around it.
Yeah, we never really got into the whole issue of the Ghostbusters film that was brought to our attention. And to the people who have been reaching out to us, I just want to say this. You're following us on Twitter. You can follow us at GoTeamLift on Twitter. Mm-hmm. We do read. If you send us stuff to the direct message, we read the inbox ourselves. Thank you for listening. Thank you for suggestions.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. Thank you for the questions that you're hitting us with. Great questions. But a lot of people wanted us to get back into that. So we're going to do that today on issue 2 of the Team Lift podcast. We're going to get into this. I'm not really sure how I want to breach this because we both kind of came to the conclusion that we weren't really excited about the remake.
How about this? I'm going to pitch you a Ghostbusters film that's going to be 10 times better than anything that's going to be in this new Ghostbusters film.
Okay, I'm all ears. Pitch it.
Okay, so we want to lead in with Winston. Or not Winston. God damn it. My brain doesn't work. We want to lead into the story as a story where almost all of the principal characters are gone but one.
Okay.
And he's the only one who's holding up the Ghostbusters, and he's doing it by himself. He has a daughter. His daughter's kind of helping him, but he's coddling her. He won't let her go out and actually bust ghosts and whatnot. And then a threat happens. Something too big for him to take care of himself happens.
Okay.
And so they have to get new recruits. And that's where his daughter comes in. She comes out. She gets the new recruits. And then you've got this story where we're saying this is a continuation of the original Ghostbusters, not a reboot. We're bringing in new characters to fill out the roster. They just all happen to be female. Who cares? Female, male, whatever. We bring in new blood into the fold. Mm-hmm. And they come together to go out and fight against this new threat that's happening. That's a lot better than we're just going to throw away your childhood and shit on it. And it helps bring in the older people who remember the original films.
Myself. My whole generation.
Brings in the new blood, the new people who are going to come and see this, and the new people who are going to be fans of this. And then you can do whatever you want to with it from there. But, you take all the principal characters, for the most part, have either died or moved on.
Okay.
With the exception of one.
Okay. No, I freaking love that idea.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. No. And Hollywood, if you're listening, please take this idea and run with it. We give it to you gladly of our bosom.
Yeah.
I like that idea. To me, the thing that I think what we came to is that we felt that there was enough talent connected to this film that they should be able to make a decent film. But we felt that some things are too sacred to be messed with.
Exactly.
We feel there are some films you shouldn't make remakes of.
You don't need to remake this film. You want to extend the universe. You want to make a new film. You want to bring in a new audience. Sure, let's do that. Mm-hmm. But don't piss on my head and tell me that it's fucking raining.
No, because I'm not a big fan of the remake. I wasn't a big fan of it, and it wasn't a thing against, it's an all-female cast. I could care less. Melissa McCarthy's funny. Kristen Wiig is funny. I watched Bridesmaids several times. It was an excellent film.
Yeah.
I've seen The Skeleton Twins with Kristen Wiig. She was excellent in that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have any doubts that the cast is solid. We don't have any doubts that
Leslie
the director
Jones
is
from Saturday
solid.
Night Live. Yeah. So
it's just the writing and the tone that they're setting with the film is just it's not serious enough. And I know that sounds weird because it's a movie about ghosts and stuff, but there was a serious edge to the original Ghostbusters. This was real. These paranormal things were happening, and they were screwing with people's lives, and these guys had to come in and help.
Yeah, because I don't know if people remember this, but Sigourney Weaver was possessed in the first one. And let us not forget the whole thing about the library ghost, that horrifying ghost. The special effects were on par in the first movie. Rick Moranis also becomes possessed. There were great creature designs, and the lines were funny. So it was like, hey, this is some great creature effects, but we're going to use the humor to alleviate the horror of some of the creature effects. Like when she's turned into the dogs, and he said, oh, your girlfriend's a dog. You know, that was Bill Murray's classic line from the first one. I think certain movies, you get to a point where people just say, hey, if you do this, it's like with music. Like there are certain songs. Nobody can come out right now and do Purple Rain and do a remake of Purple Rain and think, I can do it better than Prince. Yeah. It's probably not a good chance you're going to do better than Prince on Purple Rain. There's probably not a good chance that you're going to come out and do Bohemian Rhapsody and do better than Freddie Mercury and Queen. Yeah. So certain songs, you don't remake those songs. You don't cover those songs. You don't do cover versions of these songs because the song itself has become an institution. Yeah. I think the same thing happens in movies. Whether we admit it, I think we as people, we have our things that we've made that's sacred to us. Yeah. Whether anybody else thinks it's sacred to a small group of people who that's sacred to them. And they really are going to get pissy if you do it a disservice. Mm-hmm. I think that's where we are. That's where we're at. And like I said before, there are sacred cows. There's Ghostbusters. There's Back to the Future. There's Big Trouble in Little China. Mm-hmm. Like these are movies that I never want to see remakes for because the first one was perfect. Yes. And even if it has flaws, even if the social climate has changed in America that makes things that are in those films not socially relevant anymore or bad, essentially, like if there's racism or if there's sexism or whatever. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Bad News Bears. Yeah. Bad News Bears has not aged well as a film. Yeah. When I was a kid, it was an amazing film. Like I saw Bad News Bears and they were badass kids that cursed, they smoked, they snuck beers, they looked at girly magazines. The lead kid, the one who was supposed to be the cool kid, only come to the baseball field because, it's a lot of fine ass around the baseball field, Yeah. These kids were just degenerates, okay? That's what we would call them now. They're degenerates. And they made a baseball team, and they were losers. But he uses the line, he said, this is just a team full of niggers, faggots, spics. I forgot. He goes off. He says this thing about every racial epithet you can think of. Pretty much in like this one sentence. He every racial no is in this one sentence. Yeah. He goes off. And I remember thinking that film, when I was a kid, that was the norm. I knew there were people that thought like that. But these weren't choir boys. This was a team full of misfits. So when he says that line, it was totally in tune with the time that some misfit punk ass kid would say stuff like that. Yeah. Would spout racial epithets like that. Now, if somebody says that in a film, oh my God, people, the house is on fire. Yeah, they want to shut down the film company, and it's offensive, and blah 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 blah. Which blah. Leads into the problem where we have with X-Men, where it's like we have a picture of Apocalypse holding up another character who happens to be female. Yes. Who is a fucking superhero. Mystique. Exactly. In her own right, a badass. Exactly. She's just being held up by her neck. And this happens in the comic books. Like we're not making this up. This wasn't something that Apocalypse choked the shit out of several characters. Yeah. I mean, that's just a thing that he does. He grabs you by your neck and checks your soul. He holds you by your neck and says, not today, Satan, and then tosses you. Yeah. He did it to Cyclops. He did it to Rogue. He did it to Mystique. Yeah. The poster. It just shows something that happens in the movie. Yeah. But suddenly that's now a thing where we're talking about, okay,
because this is on that poster, I find it offensive because I don't know what the context is behind it, and it's just a man being mean to a woman.
Here's the thing. I don't think they want to know the context. They just want to be offended.
Yeah.
I think we've hit that part in our society, in our modern society, that the smarter our phones get, I think the dumber and more sensitive our people get.
Yeah.
That's a weird statement. I know that's weird. Especially me as a black male. Everything isn't racism.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you a story about this, and it's probably why I was raised this way. I see a lot of black people on social media. This is racist. This is racist. I see a lot of well-meaning white people on social media. This is racist. This is racist. And I'm going to share something. I was born in 1971. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a different time period than most people get to today. So I remember having this teacher growing up. She was a white female. She was kind of cantankerous. Mm-hmm. She was a little mean. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the way she taught, like even as a kid, I felt she taught differently to black students than she did to white students.
Yeah.
I didn't think as an adult, I can still see her face. And now when I look back at her, she might have been a lesbian and a man hater. Possibly. There was something going on there that I didn't know as a kid, but she looked like a man. Okay? Yeah. And I don't remember there being a husband. There were some things going on in her life, but she talked differently to male students, mm-hmm. and especially male students of color, than she did to white female students. Mm-hmm. Like it was a total like night and day difference, and I picked up on it as a kid. And I remember telling my dad, "She's racist," and my dad, being the genius this man was, looked at me and said, "Are you sure you want to use that line now?" And I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "In your life, I'm only going to let you use the race card one time with me. One time you can use this person was racist and that's why you failed. You only get to use it once. Do you want to use it now?
Is this the proper time and place?"
Yeah. And when he hits me with that, I go, even as a kid, I was like, I might run into somebody way more racist than her. I want to save that card. I want that card in my back pocket for when I meet the person way worse than her.
Yeah.
So I never got to use the card. Because that's really what he did to me. He basically broke that you can't use race as a reason that you fail. Mm-hmm. That's not an option in this household. We don't use, you weren't held down because you were black. Mm-hmm. You weren't held down. You didn't pass that test because they hate black people. You didn't pass the test because you didn't study hard enough. You should have, if you knew she didn't like black people, you should have studied 4 times as hard so you would have made an A on the test and been undeniable.
Yeah.
That's how he raised us. I raised my kids that way. Race is not your crutch. You don't get to use race as a crutch.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's happened in our society, but not only is race a crutch, but our sexual identity is a crutch. Our whether we're men, our gender is a crutch.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie and say that things weren't there. Look, the world's fucked up.
Yeah.
There's just
no shit.
That's the beauty of this thing called life, is that there's some really great shit out there. There's some really fucked up shit out there. And each one of us has to make a difference. We get up every morning and we can make a difference in whether we will contribute to the beautiful stuff or to the fucked up stuff. That's it. So I'm not denying that there are racist people out there. You just can't use that as an excuse to say I was held down because of racism. No, you were held down because you didn't overcome it.
Yeah.
You personally chose not to overcome it. Well, it was a systematic system of this in place. That systematic system is in place in every state and every country. It didn't stop me from going to college. It didn't stop me from serving in the military and using the GI Bill to pay for me to go to college. That opportunity was out there. Everybody had a choice in life. Some of us made better choices. Now, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Some of us are in better situations to make better choices.
Yeah.
But I feel like we start using everything as a crutch. And that was one of my issues that I saw with that one. I was really bugged by this whole thing, is that people they kind of looked at this whole thing and with the Ghostbusters, people don't want to see it because it's strong female characters and it's a feminist film. And I'm like, it's not even a feminist film. There's no agenda. It's just people hunting ghosts, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
The trailer looked like shit.
I don't like neon ghosts.
Thank you. This is
They
what the
don't.
whole thing is. It had nothing to do. You could have gave me that same female cast in a scene for scene remake of the original Ghostbusters,
That's what it looks like it is too, and that's another thing that's kind of weird.
and I probably would have felt better. I mean, like the exact scene for scene, I probably would have felt a little bit better. But as I watch this one, I'm going, this doesn't look
Yeah,
good, and it bothers me because there's so much fucking talent connected to it.
Yeah. And
there's
I mean,
no excuse for it not to be good.
it could be amazing. We just could be seeing the shit parts, like the things that they were able to get done that in time to be able to put into a trailer, because that's what happens a lot of the times.
Oh, yeah.
Trailers are put together from the things that have been completed already, and sometimes the only stuff that they've finished isn't very good.
Yeah, and I mean, and this could be a subject that we come back in a few months and be like, wow, that was
We
a
were
great
incredibly
movie.
wrong.
I really enjoyed it. It's doing great with the ratings.
It's like Batman versus Superman. I didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. Now I love Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yes.
And it could be that same situation, but you know, time has to tell at this point.
Yeah, and what I see right now, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Huge Melissa McCarthy fan, huge Leslie Jones fan, huge Kristen Wiig fan. Not a fan of what I'm seeing. Nothing to do with an all-woman cast. I like the idea of women Ghostbusters is nothing new to me because I saw this video one time on Brazzers and they did the same thing. And they were ghost hunting that ass, and it was a beautiful scene. So I'm not against an all-female ghostbusting cast.
Yes.
I am against bad movies, and that's one of them. And so the
Appears
whole thing
to be one of them.
yeah, it right now
to be
it
one
does not look appealing to me. The thing with the Mystique, I felt like this is, we're not trying to downplay that domestic abuse.
Happens. Yeah.
It happens. What gets me is that we see men have been in relationships with women that were abusive. We've seen that where men stayed with women that abused them, and it was, our society doesn't talk about that much, you know,
Yeah.
where a man is being abused by the woman because he's not a man, but if he hits her, he's he's not a man because he hit her to defend himself. You know, he's going to suffer the punishment. And I had a dear friend of mine who was in an abusive relationship like that. He dated a woman that put him through the ringer, mentally and emotionally and physically. She put him through the ringer, and he's married to a lovely woman these days. I mean, it's and I've seen the redemptive power of her love in his life. I can say that. But I saw what he had to go through to get his manhood back.
Yeah.
To in our society, for him to feel like he was a man again. Because so it's okay if a man was getting choked out on the X-Men poster, but it was not okay for Mystique, a superhuman mutant, to be choked out. So we're getting offended when superhuman mutants are getting choked, female mutants are getting choked out. Once again, this comes back to our whole thing about this is why other countries want to fly planes into our buildings.
This is
because we have first world issues. We get mad about stuff in comic book movies.
this is why we can't have nice things.
It really, truly is. No, this is one of those issues where people are upset about a fictitious character in a fictitious superhero team's fictitious universe getting choked by a fictitious villain.
By the way, in the scene that happens just before this, I know you haven't seen the film, so I'm not going to spoil a whole lot of stuff for you, but in the scene that precedes her getting choked, she just finishes slicing Apocalypse's throat with a fucking katana. So it's not like this was some one-sided, I'm going to choke out the little female because...
She was whooping his ass.
She was whooping his ass.
And then he was like, I'm going to choke a bitch.
Yeah. It's a superhero fight.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have no superpowers.
Yeah.
But if you came at me with a katana and I could survive it, I think I'm going to have to choke somebody. I'm not sure. I think that's a natural reaction. You have to choke somebody if they come at you with a katana and you can survive it.
Exactly.
And so that's a natural reaction. Not in this situation because people were tripping out. I think that was, and our buddy Max, who couldn't be here with us, brought that subject up. He was the one that kind of noticed it. And I saw it on his Facebook page, and he was talking about it. And one of the female followers, or a friend of his, was on Facebook, and she mentioned, hey, That's a strong, independent woman, and I like how she put it in coughs. It's really a ridiculous thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. Have you ever met somebody in person who was upset by the poster?
I haven't.
I haven't either. Like, I know a lot of
I mean,
females
I guess
women that
it's
are
not
fans
really,
of the movies.
It's not really a fair question, though, in the circles that we frequent, because 90% of the people that we talk to every day at work are all comic book fans.
Right.
Like, they're all people who know what's going on in that scene and are not offended by seeing something that's straight out of the comic books that they love.
My daughters, I have 7 kids, 5
Yeah.
girls, 2 boys. My daughters are all turning into, because now they're having sons, or my granddaughter, she's not Batgirl, she's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple years ago, she's 4 today. She told us one time, I'm Batman. And she had on a little Batman outfit. And they said, well, you're Batwoman. No, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're Batgirl. No, I'm Batman. You be Batgirl. I'm Batman. And that's the kind of granddaughters, because I raised those kind of daughters.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of granddaughters that I'm getting.
That's the best case scenario right there.
I'm getting, she was like, no, you don't tell me what I'm going to be. I'm Batman. And so that's how she rolls. So it has worked for me to say 3 generations deep is still good in this family. But I saw that with her. It was like, even my daughters, I kind of wanted to ask them, are you offended? Did that poster bother you? No, not really. Did you ever watch the X-Men cartoon, Dad? And I was like, that's a stupid question. I watched every episode with you. Yeah, I skipped school with you to watch this cartoon. So it was one of those things where, like, even my daughters who weren't big comic book fans, they didn't buy all the issues, but maybe saw Apocalypse from the cartoon, and were familiar with the X-Men enough, weren't bothered by it. And so at a point, I started wondering, who's really offended by this? Because I've yet to meet a person, male or female,
Who actually is.
that came out and really complained about it. All I know is that we saw an article that was in the news and people were offended.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it hit me, and this is the jaded, as we say, we're both so jaded, but the jaded in me said, how do I know the movie theater or the movie company didn't create this controversy?
Manufacture it so they can get publicity for free.
Yeah, plus it's free publicity.
Yeah.
Somebody's offended at our movie, and people go, I gotta go see this movie and see what they're offended about, because I've yet to meet a person that was in real life that was offended.
Yeah.
It just hit me one day, like, I've yet to meet one person who ever truly was offended by this movie poster of Apocalypse choking Mystique for the new X-Men film.
Yeah.
But I read an article about it.
Which, by the way, so I watched it last night.
So you went and saw it? Okay.
I went and watched it last night. It was good, but there are parts of it that I don't like. But overall, it was a really good showing. Like, I'm glad that they made it.
Yeah.
I think most of my rancor about the film is just Apocalypse looks like Ivan Ooze.
You've said that for a long time.
It just bothers me. He doesn't look right. And what really bothers me is there's an episode of Tested where they interviewed a guy.
Ironhead.
Yeah.
I know the studio you're about to say.
Yeah. So they interviewed this gentleman who actually worked on the movie, providing props and things like that, and he had designed an Apocalypse facial prosthetic that looked exactly like
the Apocalypse from the
jumped
comic book.
off of the page.
Yeah.
And they poo-pooed it, and they went with this like pseudo Ivan Ooze Egyptian weirdness that they did,
which was totally stupid. But yeah, we understand it. Hollywood gets in the way.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say: Hollywood gets in the way when Kevin Feige is not in control.
Yeah.
That's been our thing with Marvel films. The Marvel Cinematic Universe under Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Is totally different than what happens at Paramount, and totally different than what happens at 20th
Fox
Century
and Sony
Fox and all and Sony. He controls a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Had he been in control of this film,
Yeah.
we would have got the original Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And not this Ivan Ooze version.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Now, here's the thing that kills me, because that's Ironhead Studios that did the props. They did the Black Panther mask.
Mm-hmm. They did Captain America's remake, his mask, and everything.
Didn't they do Deadpool? I think they were in charge of the Deadpool
I
prize.
think they might have been in charge of Deadpool. I'd have to go look it up though.
Because they killed Deadpool. Deadpool's amazing.
The guy who made that costume, he deserves like 5 Oscars.
Yeah, no, his costume design is on point.
And all of the Oscars that he gets should have like a giant cock and balls just hanging off the front of them.
Yeah, every Oscar. He should
Every
have the
single-
most vulgar
5 of
Oscar in
them.
history because he made the greatest.
Huge balls, just gigantic.
He went with it and did it. Like, I even like the Cyclops in that movie.
Yeah, and that.
Colossus. I love the Colossus in that
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
Colossus in that. Colossus in Deadpool was just like, oh my god, that's the Colossus I remember as a child.
Colossus is they played him the way that they should have played him, which is they used him as a straight man.
Perfectly.
He just embodies the Boy Scout X-Men mentality to the point where Deadpool being able to play off of him is just brilliant whenever it
Loved
happens in the film. And then them using him for comic relief, like there's a scene in there right before they leave to go deal with Deadpool killing all those guys on the highway where he's eating cereal and he's doing it while he's still completely metaled out, which if you read the comics, you know he can't eat or drink anything when he's in that form. Mm-hmm. But they still did it anyway because it was funny.
It was hilarious.
It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, so it was. I don't think anybody that's listening to us questions how we feel about Deadpool.
Yeah.
Certain comic book movies, when done right, transcend even our expectations.
My only bitch about Deadpool, and I mean even this can't really be considered a bitch, is that they didn't have the extra voices in his head. But then again, if you consider the fact that he's also narrating the film, that could technically be the voice in his head.
He broke the fourth wall so much.
Yeah. There wasn't a fourth wall. It was just him doing his thing in the movie with the audience there with him.
Yeah, it was everything I would have wanted. Man, it was everything I wanted. It was just such a good film. Such a good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jaded Roderick says X-Men controversy could be manufactured. Not saying it is, could be manufactured. I'm not sure I buy into it.
I mean,
the more I think about it, the less I believe there was really an issue.
I think if you want to think about it this way, if you want to look at it from the standpoint of if men and women are truly equal, then you shouldn't be offended by that sign, because on both sides of the fence, whether it be a man who's getting choked out or a woman who's being choked out, they're both equal. They're both being choked by Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So that right there puts her on a footing that's equal with Apocalypse. She's fighting against him. How is that bad? Like, how is that level of equality on that poster bad?
Yeah, because anybody could have fought Apocalypse in this X-Men universe.
Could have been Jean
But
Grey.
we went with Mystique
Yeah.
to go toe-to-toe with this guy in a fight, and she gets choked from the fight, from fighting him. I still feel like it was a manufactured.
Could have been Nightcrawler. Could have been Cyclops. Could have been anybody. It could have been
Jubilee. Anybody could have
any
went
of
with
the
anybody.
cast.
Beast.
Yeah.
Could have been Beast.
Could have been Beast.
Could have been Magneto. But no, we're gonna make it Mystique, and then they have to come out and apologize because somebody's offended.
Yeah.
I still think it was a crock. I personally think it was a crock. I'm gonna stick by. I think it was the further we go with it, the more I think it's a crock. But I hope for the people that wanted to hear our personal opinion on that, I hope we answered your questions. Because we did kind of get off on that tangent last week where we didn't kind of really go into enough about the Ghostbusters, but then I'm glad we finished it up because we did need to bring that whole X-Men thing in there.
Yeah.
I just think it was. We're really starting to get too sensitive for our own good in this country. We're way too sensitive for our own good. Man, let's go. We're going to move on. We got a couple of things we want to get into. I got, me, I'm an anime junkie.
Yeah.
Big manga junkie. I dropped about $130, $180 on comic books and manga.
Just a little bit of money.
A little bit of money. A little bit of pocket change came up missing on the comic book collections. And I think last week we kind of talked about I was buying DC Universe Rebirth. I bought, let's see, what else did I get? I mean, there was the Captain Americas. I got caught up on the Spider-Man series. I'm reading the Spider-Man with Miles Morales. So I had to pick up like 4 issues of that. I had issue 1. I picked up 3 and 4. I was trying to get caught up. I was all over the map a little bit, man. I picked up a lot of stuff.
So what'd you get anime-wise?
Okay,
'Cause
anime.
Okay, so let me preface this as I'm not an anime person.
Yes.
I don't watch the animes. I don't read the animes.
Okay,
Like,
so if it's a book, we call it a manga,
Yeah.
and if it's a TV, we call it the anime. And so I'm a junkie. I'm really a secret otaku. That's my thing. I'm a closet otaku. That's not very secret about it. And I started a blog, my radical thinking at WordPress.com and I started it because we kept. I don't know. You see it at work where people, hey, coach, hook me up on anime. I'm watch this. What should I go to next? And I kept getting hit with all these questions. So, and I'm watching everything. I do romance and political dramas and, sci-fi. So my interest in anime runs a gauntlet.
Yeah.
So I started doing things like telling my buddies, quit watching the big ones. Don't do Naruto. Don't do One Piece. Don't do Bleach. Even though I've watched recently I finally have watched all 366 episodes of Bleach. I've wiped it out. The series is done. I did all 366 episodes. It was a chore.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really like a lot of things about the Bleach universe after I finished it. I'm glad it's over with though. So I got onto this kick where I started seeing more quality and better produced stuff that wasn't the big ticket, kind of Shonen Jump stuff, or what I like to call the Adult Swim lineup. Where they're going to give you Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, and most people's idea anime is going to be Naruto.
Akira.
Yeah,
Naruto,
that stuff.
Bleach.
That's all they're going to know, the big ticket items.
Yeah.
So I decided, hey, let's go off the beaten path and start watching anime that doesn't get that backing, doesn't have that kind of political, doesn't have that money behind it. All right. And the more I start doing it, the more stuff I start finding that I enjoyed. Now, one of them was last season was this amazing anime called Erased. And Erased came out of nowhere. Nobody knew what Erased was last season. It was just this winter anime, like 12, 13 episode run, and it was mind freaking blowing. It was this kid, he was about a manga drawer, and he kind of had stunted development. He couldn't really develop relationships with people, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of came through in his work. His work seemed kind of stunted, and the characters didn't develop because he had no ability to develop relationships with people. And we started finding out that something happened to him when he was a kid, and what happened to him when he was a kid really played into him as an adult.
Yeah.
Kind of messed him up. And so what happens in this anime, without ruining it for most people, we find out he has a power to rewind time. He can rewind time. Like when it happens, something's going wrong, and he gets into this time loop. So let's say like you're going down the road, right? And
It's like Prince of Persia, where you can release the sands of time and go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, he would do this. So he's going down the road, and all of a sudden he realizes, wait a minute, I just saw that building. Oh my God, time just rewind.
Yeah.
So I got to save somebody. Somebody's about to die, and I got to do something to save them. So he ends up with this crazy power, and time rewinds, and you see how he can rewind time. And there's small little bits of time, so maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then he does the heroic thing and saves somebody, and
continues on from there.
Right.
So he kind of gets like mini Groundhog Days, where he's got to keep
Groundhog Days.
Got to go about over it over and over again
until he does
figures
the thing
out
to
what
correct
he
it.
Needs to do. Yeah.
Then, as the anime progresses, and it's all in the first episode, something massive happens to his life, and someone near and dear to him is murdered in cold blood, and his time rewinds all the way back to 4th grade.
Holy shit!
Now he has the mind of a 27-year-old man in the body of a 4th grader. He knows everything that's going to happen. He knows what's about to happen. So every time, he doesn't lose his memory. He knows what's about to happen with everybody. When time rewinds, he's in the 4th grade, and he's now trying to solve a bigger murder that he knows is going to take place. And so he's trying to prevent it because he thinks if he can prevent it, it'll prevent the main murder that took place to rewind him back to 4th grade.
Yeah.
The series was phenomenal. Here's the beauty of it. I'm on a website called myanimelist.net. And if you start watching anime, and if you're listening to us and you watch a lot of anime, you need to be on this website because it'll track all. You can set up a personal account and track all the anime you've ever watched. and meet with other anime watchers and check their list. It's a really great social site for anime fans and manga. So this show Erased was so freaking popular that by the 8th episode, it was in the top 5 ranked animes of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. So they were talking about their list. This is our top 50 most popular anime list. Yeah. Erased comes out and is in the top 5. 7 episodes into a 13-episode run. This is in the top 5 anime.
And this is like
most popular animes of all time on this website. This show's in there.
It just comes out of nowhere, like
nobody knew what it was. Nobody had heard about it. It came out of freaking nowhere and blew minds across the world. It was an international hit for them. So this show was great. So after it ended, though, here's the problem that happens. After you watch an amazing anime like that, you go through what I like to call anime withdrawal. So I was at the point where it's like, probably not going to watch a lot of anime this season because there's not going to be another show that's going to be that good. There's not going to be another show that's going to hold my interest that well. Yeah. And I've kind of gotten into this thing about I love thrillers and murder mysteries. And I just knew I wasn't going to get that again. I was just, and so like one of my buddies, he was depressed. I mean, he was really seriously depressed that he knew this anime has ended and I'm not going to get that high again. And so we were all kind of, you go through it. It happens. You fall in love with a series and it ends after 13 weeks or 25 episodes. You move on to the next series. There's an anime that came out, and this is on my hit list. Now, I wish we could have talked about it when the anime first started, but we're going to talk about it today. It's every episode now, I'm going to start bringing a hot pick. This is an anime or manga you should watch. Today, I'm going to give you one of each. This anime is called Myoga, and the American translation is The Lost Village. The Lost Village is a mind fuck and a half of an anime. And what happens is, what got me about this one is it's 30 people are on a tour bus. You know, one of those nice touring buses. 30 people get on it, and they're going to escape their life. Something has happened to these people that they're said, to hell with society, to hell with modern society and the rules and the cliques and the groups and the pretense and the BS and the political correctness. I'm escaping this. Yeah. I want out. I don't want to be a part of this rat race anymore. I'm leaving. And these people jump on a bus that they found on the darknet that tells them about this village, the Lost Village, where people can go to escape their life. You leave your life behind, and this village is hidden. And the police can't find it. FBI can't find it. Nobody knows where this village is. You're going to get to escape your life. And never be found again. Sounds a little too good to be true. All right, but 30 people from different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and different reasonings, they all escape. Get on the bus. They're leaving. They're excited to go to this village. Now, you get into this anime, and in the first episode, it's trying to show us 30 characters. That's a huge cast to work with.
That's massive. That's like Game of Thrones level.
Yeah, so there's 30 moving parts to this anime. Okay. Now, some of them we're not going to understand their backstories. You know, you're thinking, it's 30 people. How can you tell me, I think it's set for a 13-episode run. How are you going to give me 30 people's stories and tell it really well? I don't know how they did it, but they did. Because I'm on episode 9, and I know everybody's reasonings for why they're on this trip. And even each week, they peel a little bit more away. You find another person, and they peel a little bit more of the puzzle away to that person. And you start finding out, whoa. So here's what happens. 30 people get on the bus to leave. All 30 people, sketchy as fuck. It is like 30 of the sketchiest people. Like, if I wanted to leave my life, and they put me on this bus, and there was a couple that says, well, we wanted to get married, but our families had arranged other marriages for us, and we didn't want to do that. We're in love. So our family was against it, so we're running away to be a couple. I say, okay, that's cool. You know, that's a legit reason for you to run away. But you're a weird couple. You're weird as hell. Like, the way you talk, I'll be your hero. Oh, please protect me. That's how she talks to her husband, and he's like, don't worry, babe, I'm here with you. Like, they're a little too saccharine sweet. You're just like, I don't know about them. They're scary. Like, maybe they really are that in love, but I'm jaded, and they scare me. So they scare me. I don't trust them. I don't trust their love. So it's those kind of sketchy, or where you find a girl that was kind of a rich bitch, and she was the mean girl,
Yeah.
And then it turned on her.
Oh no.
Like the system that she created to be the mean girl, like Regina George in Mean Girls, and the system turns on her, and now she's the one that's the outcast.
Mm-hmm.
She's on there. She's one of the people on the bus. And then there's people like you don't know why they're here. You just know they're sketchy and they're a little strange.
Yeah.
And you just start kind of pulling away. Why is this guy that's angry at everybody here? Why is the guy that's the master manipulator here? What drove him away? You know, you just kind of got questions. So it introduces all 30 characters on the bus in the way we would do it at a job. Tell us a little something about yourself. So each character in this episode has to get up on the bus and tell you just a little bit. But they tell you enough to make you wonder what the hell's wrong with this person.
Yeah.
So you're locked in. All 30 people are introduced. Second episode, they get to the village. The village is abandoned. Now, this village has been here, and people were supposedly supposed to be living in this village. This village is abandoned, and it looked like it had just been abandoned that morning. So, I mean, the gardens were well kept. Like, you could say, this garden was freshly watered, like this morning. Where are the people?
Yeah.
There were dishes still in some sinks. Like
the
rapture had happened in this
cast
village.
of 30 left, and the new cast of 30 showed up.
Exactly. So what's going on in this village? Then they're out there near the village and in the woods, and they're trying to figure out stuff, and everybody's breaking into groups trying to sort through the village to try to find people. And then you see like giant claws on a tree. Like, was it a bear? What freaking bear has claws like that? It's like a bear claws, but it could have chopped this tree in half.
Yeah.
And there's blood on the tree, but there's no body. Why is there blood on the tree and claws?
But no body.
But there's no body, and we don't see the blood leading off anywhere. So it's just sketchy upon sketchy upon sketchy. It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
And then you start taking into consideration that the police don't know where you are. Nobody knows you're out here. So you can start dying.
You're effectively
and nobody's going to get
gone.
you.
You're disconnected.
What happens.
Yeah.
You're cut off from the rest of the world already. And then it just keeps getting worse and keeps getting worse. And then a dead body does show up. Like, second episode, third episode, a dead body shows up. One of the 30 has already died. All right, so now one of the 30 dies, and you're just starting to watch this whole thing unravel. And it's a total mind fuck. Because you're watching this unravel, and you know it's going to go horribly wrong. It's like Lost.
Yeah.
Anime form, but with a deeper character analysis of each character. It is really a great thing. It's called The Lost Village. I'm currently watching this one on the streaming service Crunchyroll.
Yeah, that seems to be, if you want anime, that's the place to go.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the free ones because a lot of those websites have the viruses, the adware. I'm just not a fan of the free sites. A lot of times it's, a licensing issue thing. They're not paying the people for the licensing. So I'm a fan of, I watch all my anime pretty much is either going to go Crunchyroll, Funimation, or Hulu. Hulu is a great source of animation. Mm-hmm. Hulu still has a giant library, and Hulu got rid of 200 series. It like Friday.
The great anime purge. I heard about this.
Yeah, now there was a big deal, and it's still online. You can find the great anime purge of Hulu. I want to say Thursday or Friday would have been around June 1st, somewhere around there. I think is when it happens. June 1st, May 31st, somewhere in there. They got rid of 200 series on Hulu. And there was no licensing issue. Hulu did it on their own. Nothing was forcing them to do it. Hulu just said, hey, we're going to get rid of this 200. Because we're getting ready to start doing live television. We need to free up some resources. We don't need to pay these licensing fees. They're about to, do their big announcement about live TV and same-day broadcasting, which I think is phenomenal because it's doing more to get rid of cable. I mean, it's just really a thing.
But that's the thing is, like, Hulu is cable. Like, Hulu is owned by all the companies who run the cable companies. It's Hulu's... Hulu is basically all of the cable providers in the United States are all getting together to create a new cable network that runs entirely off the internet.
Exactly.
And they're calling it Hulu.
And that was the thing, like with Hulu, is, you can get to watch the shows 24 hours after it airs. Now it's going to be same day, same live, same time. So I think that's going to be interesting. I'm waiting to see that. So they got rid of it supposedly for that.
Yeah.
And people, once again, the entitled got mad, said, oh, how could you do this to us, Hulu, blah, 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 and you get rid of a bunch of anime. A lot of stuff they got rid of. I either watched it already.
Wasn't very good anyway.
Some of it was good, but it wasn't really watched, like you either did it at that time. You know, so a lot of people, I guess, were like, "Well, I planned on watching it." Well, you should have planned on watching it faster.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna have to go somewhere else to get it.
So going back to that series that you were talking about, where everybody goes to the town and disappears. There's a book that it reminds me of that I read recently by Chuck Palahniuk. He's the guy who wrote Fight Club. It's called Haunted, and it's basically about a group of writers who go on a writer's retreat. But the writer's retreat says basically you can't tell anybody where you're going. You just basically drop your life, get in this bus, and go to this place that's supposed to be a writer's retreat where you're going to write your masterpiece.
Oh, whoa.
And it's about them basically being locked in this place together. And it kind of, there's 23 stories that get told in it, short stories. And they all kind of lead back into this story that kind of threads along of them in that place. So it's the lead up to what got them to go there. And these people, they're fucking insane. They start killing each other, cutting body parts off of themselves, breaking things intentionally, ruining the food supply. Like, it's fucked up. Highly recommend it. It's a great book.
Okay.
But it's called Haunted. It was released in 2005. It's by Chuck Palahniuk. If you ever watched Fight Club and liked Fight Club, you'll like this.
Okay, cool. I'll put that on my list. I have to put that on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
Same idea. So pretty much you get, if you read that book, then you got a great idea what the Lost Village is, because you put people in this situation. I truly believe if you take people and you put them in a situation where they're locked in, their animal nature will take over.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how we are as humans. We will devour ourselves. We are just a self-destructive people. So as you read this, if you're watching this anime, you're kind of seeing this is going, you get a feeling of dread. This is going to go horribly wrong for these people. It definitely is going horribly wrong. It's one of my favorite series this season, you know, and the way anime breaks down. For people who don't watch anime, it breaks down into, like, every year it's winter 2016, which is pretty much January to May. Then you get your summer or spring 2016, summer 2016, and fall 2016. And that's how you wrap up the year, right?
Yeah.
So it's based on the seasons. They're usually some episodes, you know, they're 12 episode runs or 25 episode runs that'll run through multiple seasons. So this one here is going to wrap up this, you know, before summer starts. It has been a roller coaster ride. It has been one of my favorite. I didn't think I could find something that was going to mess with my mind. And here's how good it is. Erased had a subreddit group. The Lost Village has a subreddit group.
Yeah.
And it tells you quickly, go watch this episode before you come in, because we're going to blatantly discuss this thing. And it's one of the most well thought out, really intelligent groups. I really love what I see in there all the time. It's a great group. Great animes tend to bring out fans, great fans.
Yeah.
And when you see a subreddit group like this one, I don't write in there. I don't put my name in there. I just read a lot of stuff that they write, and I go, I like this. I see where they're going.
Lurking. That's what you're doing.
I love to lurk. I'm a lurker on Reddit. I'm a Reddit lurker supreme. Okay. I don't want to get into the conversation with you because I have a group of friends that I will discuss. I don't want to do it online. But this one here, definitely my hot pick of an anime. I think a lot of people need to watch this one.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to hope to do is, since summer's coming up, I got 3 picks for the summer that are coming up. Next episode, I'll get into those 3 picks about something that people should probably be looking for in the summer. But if you're watching anime right now, if you have a Crunchyroll account, you need to get on Crunchyroll right now. Get caught up. It's 9 episodes deep, so we still got 4 more episodes before this one ends. But each week, more pieces of the puzzle are being revealed. It's my hot pick anime. That's my hot pick for the week. The Lost Village, my yoga, and I think I even have a link to it at my at Radical Thinking at WordPress.com, which is my blog about anime. And I think we're going, like, right now I'm doing my top 8 romantic animes. I'm counting down some stuff.
Should probably post that page on the Team Lift Twitter.
I think I will. I'll put a link to it on our Go Team Lift at our Twitter page. I'll put a link to that so you can get to the blog from there. Definitely The Lost Village, hot pick.
Yeah.
My second hot pick is going to come in Manga. This is Manga is let's face it, man. Thick graphic novel comic books. Every issue is like a thick graphic novel. You know, they're like a novel size. I'm reading one that I got from in fact, you know what? I actually made a Google sheet that's tracking all my manga purchases for this year, and I'm putting all the publishers that I'm reading, and everything that I'm collecting right now. I'm reading 3 real active. Okay, there's one called Real Account, which I think you would love. Real Account. Real Account is, let's say we took every social media page, right? Every social media thing, so Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and made one giant super social media website.
So like Reddit.
Yeah, and called it Real Account. All right, and then Real Account, we can do everything. It's post pictures, our profiles, our blog, everything, right?
Yeah.
Real Account becomes so real that restaurants start putting coupons to their restaurant on there. Banking, you can do everything through your Real Account. It becomes your life. Real Account almost becomes like it's sponsored by banks and corporations. It becomes a part of your life.
It's if you've ever read Ready Player One, it would probably be the Oasis.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. So we got this Real Account, and one day, 10,000 people pass out right where they are in the real world, and their consciousness is sucked into the Real Account world, kind of like the Sword Art Online anime.
Yeah.
You know that and manga itself. So 10,000 people are in here, and then you see this little, like, the smiley face symbol that was the Real Account guy. He's like their mascot.
Their logo.
And he tells them, hey, you 10,000 people have been sucked into this world of Real Account, and we're going to play a game, and the game is going to be for life or death. Now, here's how the rules work. If you lose all your followers he says like this: if you die in here, you die in the real world. But here's the problem. Not only will you die, all of your followers die too. Okay.
That has the potential to take a lot of people out.
Yeah, so here's where it gets crazy. If I was to die in the game and then all my followers would die, the question is, how many people on my Facebook account right now, I got like, I don't know, 700-800 friends, how many of those people would really be willing to risk their lives to die for me? I mean, that's a great question.
Yeah.
How many people, like, we say we're friends, we're digital friends, and some of them I have known my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
I got friends on there that are friends from 4th grade that we grew up together and went to, and graduated high school together. And I was at their wedding. They were at my wedding. I watched their kids grow up. They watched my kids grow up. We're friends. How many would be willing to die for you, though? That's a great question. And so Real Account actually pushes that boundary and starts taking us through that. So one person tested. He kills the guy. 386 of his followers die in the real world, and they die by a massive heart attack. Blood shoots out their nose, and it's mysterious death. Nobody knows the cause, but we see what happens to you. And so then he kills off like 5,000 people right there. Just people just start dying left and right. Then he says, okay, here's what I'm gonna do next. It's not fair to kill all your followers for you.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. What's happening in this digital world is being broadcast on every television. So it's like they've hacked the TV waves.
So it's reality TV.
Yeah, it's reality TV being pushed to the limits. People are dying now. People's lives are on the line. So then what happens is the mascot says, okay, it's not fair for me to kill all your followers.
Yeah.
Your followers for the next 15 minutes can quit following you. They can drop you like a hot potato right now. And if they drop you, you die in here. But they get to live.
Yeah.
And
See ya. Bye.
people start dropping dead left and right in this digital world. And then the thing is, there's this main kid that's in the story. He has one follower. Like, he had over 1,000 something followers in there. He was like, he had the most followers to not be a celebrity in the Real Account world.
Yeah.
But as you read the manga, you understand it. To him, it's fake. He doesn't have really close friends in the real world. He's distant in the real world. He lies. You know, he creates this persona that he portrays on Real Account. That's his persona. He doesn't really,
Yeah.
I'm not going to show you the real you, and people fall in love with the persona, and that's how I have over this 1,000-something friends in Real Account.
Yeah.
They start dropping him. They start dropping him like flies, and he knows he's about to die. And it gets down to the last one, and he doesn't know who it is, but he has one anonymous follower that refuses to drop him, that believes he can win. Because the thing is, you have to win the game in this digital world, and they'll let you go free. You can go back to your body in the real world.
Yeah.
So this is a manga that's pretty much asking us these questions about, in our society, what are really friends? What is friendship?
Yeah.
What are the bonds that hold us together? Are we willing to die for these people that we call friends? Ask a lot of great questions about social media. It's a great character study on it. Brutal as hell. Brutal, bloody mess of a manga.
Yeah.
I'm loving every issue of it. And the thing is, the 3 books I'm reading are all published by Kodansha. And that's Kodansha, Kodansha Comics, out of Japan. They are putting out some of the hottest stuff right now.
Yeah.
Some of the hottest mangas that I'm reading are coming from this one publishing house. And Real Account is it's 2 volumes deep. I got volume 1, volume 2. It's going to be one of those things that we talk about like Battle Royale.
Yeah.
It's going to catch on because he's asking a lot of questions about social media and friendship and life and family and connections and the connections we make. He's asking tough questions in a comic book that eventually the hipsters are going to catch on to it.
Of course.
They're going to catch on to it, and when the hipsters catch on to it, Hollywood will come sniffing. But you can be in on it before the hipsters catch in on it by just jumping on it now. That's my hot pick I had 2 hot picks for manga, but I think when it came down to it, that's going to get my hot pick this week. Real Account. It's Real Account. It is brutal. Brutal. There's another one named Inuyashiki, about a 58-year-old man with stomach cancer that's dying and is not respected by his family.
Yeah, I think you were telling me about that.
That's the one I was talking about. He's dying, ends up a battle cyborg. I'm not going to tell you how he ends up one, but he's a battle cyborg. And 3 volumes of it are out. And it is another one. It's just like, this guy, he decides 2 people end up with battle cyborg bodies in the universe. One of them's going to use it for good. One of them's going to use it for evil. This guy who has nothing, like if he died, the only living being that would miss him was his dog. His wife wouldn't miss him. His kids don't respect him. They wouldn't miss him. They don't care about him. He's dying of stomach cancer, and his world is crumbling down. He's like 58 years old, and he looks like he's 85. And he decides, I got this great battle cyborg body, and I'm going to use it to do good. This guy had more reason to be mad at the world and be an evil prick, and he doesn't do it. Inuyashiki is definitely an interesting read. So those 2 are battling it out for my interest right now.
Yeah.
Real Account, Inuyashiki, both from Kodansha Comics. Kodansha Comics, I think, has a website. I want to say it's kodanshacomics.com, or it could be kodansha.com. I'm not sure. But it's definitely, those are my hot picks. These are my hot picks. So anime-wise, get on The Lost Village. Manga-wise, you need to be on Real Account. My second pick in manga would say, if Real Account's a little too brutal for you, want to watch something a little bit more slow, character study about a battle cyborg, get on Inuyashiki. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page @GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages @Coach Silky and @Thighside. You can direct questions and comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.